Welcome back to Less Than Geek. My name is Travis,
And I'm Peyton.
and this episode is our coverage of the top 8 elimination round at the St. Petersburg X-Wing Regional that was on May 9th at Critical Hit Games. On the right here, we have Carlos with a Fat Han with Z95 type build. So he's got, obviously, Han with Predator, Gunner, C-3PO, the title and engine upgrade, and 3 Bandit Zs. And then over here on the left, we have Pete with a Chewie Lebo build. So Chewbacca has Determination, Recon Specialist, Janors, and Anti-Pursuit Lasers. And Lebo also has Determination and Recon Specialist, and then has the Mangler Cannon with the Outrider title and a hull upgrade. So
Get one more chance of dropping off a pilot crit.
Right, so he's going all in on this, ignoring crits or even trying to use them to his advantage with the determinations to ignore some damage kind of build here, and the recon specialists on both and Janors to trigger off of either one. Because a lot of people with Chewbacca, they'll just deal all the crit cards face down, but he does technically get them dealt face up, and then he just gets automatically flip them down, so he does work with determination. Alright, so the two ships on the left look like they're maybe just heading down to the corner. I guess he didn't know exactly where the Falcon was going to set up, if it was going to be on that far side or not.
I think it's a pretty good assumption that the Zs are going to be right next to the Falcon.
Yeah, usually. So it appears that they're playing with all debris clouds. So this was one of the first major tournaments, these regionals, they're now underway, that have the new rules for the Phantom and the debris clouds and anything else that was in the latest FAQ. So some people got to try those out. I felt like people were hitting obstacles more because of that. Because
they didn't care as much.
Yeah, it's partially they don't seem to care about them as much as asteroids, but also that they're a little bit bigger. They tend to be anyway, and kind of like weird shapes, so that your corner tends to catch them.
And people haven't been playing with them that much, so
Yeah.
it's still a little unfamiliarity.
I feel like people with like an asteroid, even if you actually land a ship on it, it didn't seem like it was that usual of an occurrence for you to then be like hitting the asteroid again on the way out. Usually you had like your side had clipped it, or you had the rear of the ship on it or something. But I saw a lot of times with ships landing on the debris where they still had to go through it again. So the debris may not seem as bad, but the stress was piling up on some of the ships because of that. So the double YTs on the left, I guess, decided to just K-turn out of the gate to deal with the fact that the Falcon was down here also. And I guess now he's got a nice kind of wide angle to come in.
It gives them a lot of opportunities. You can do a hard left or just go straight. Maybe even bank.
Yeah.
Just you like to have nice open options.
Yeah, I guess he figures maybe this causes Carlos to have to kind of fly all the Zs or whatever through the field a little bit to get them. Which it looks like they're going to end up staying in formation here.
Not that Zs really care about debris fields.
Yeah, it's not going to do too much to them.
If you got 2 dice with no tokens, it's not that big of a loss.
Right.
Zs always tend to roll 2 hits regardless of what they're doing.
It feels that way sometimes. But yeah, so in the top 8 here, I think we had 6 Rebel squads. And just 1 Imperial squad and 1 aggressor squad, yeah. So most of them had big ships. So you had obviously these two, and then you had the Dash and Corrin together, and then you had just trying to think of all the Rebel builds. There was
2 4-ship builds.
Yeah, there were actually 3 Rebel builds that didn't have any large ships. So one of those was 4 B-wings. One of them was 2 B-wings and a couple Y-wings with some ions and stress, that kind of control list. And then one was like corn horn with, some filler, a couple Z's, and like I think it was Jake Farrell, the A-wing, sneaking in there. And then the Imperialist was Soontirfell and Turfinir, or Turfinner, whatever his name is, with with a generic fire spray that had an intelligence agent to try to help spy for them. And then the double aggressors had whatever loadout they had, but so still mostly rebels though, and but they at least only half of the rebel builds had the YTs in them instead of all of them.
Yeah, well, it's not like the YTs got worse.
Right.
Basically, the only thing that happened recently is you kind of go back to wanting gunner all the time.
Yeah, the auto thruster kind of causes that. Yeah, in Wave 5, it was so easy for the YT to stick with, to basically run R2-D2 and just, get into a point where one-on-one against like a decimator or something, it just couldn't die. But now you need that gunner because all these, the IG-88s and interceptors and stuff that are so commonplace now.
Looks like these Z95s are going to be in a pretty good position next round.
Yeah. Yeah, they can just kind of go right around that cloud there and potentially just all be unloading on one of these ships at close range. Han seems like he's content to just maybe take like a one straight and park right in behind them, or maybe do like a hard turn through the field there. You have a nice little lane to go through.
It's nice that you can provide decent blocking, cause the enemy Falcon to not get around them.
Right.
Especially if he doesn't have engine upgrade. He's only got his one option to get around.
Yeah. Yep. The Chewbacca there has the anti-pursuit lasers also, which might come into play if it gets real close and personal here. But we'll have to see.
It's a good chance that's why he's the kind of leading his little squad.
Yeah, you got him in the front, and then you got Lebo in the back because you still don't have the range penalty for using the Mangler. You get extra. Lebo will have like 3 green dice with the recon specialists and stuff. So yep, he's coming right on around. This is pretty much just what you expected them to do.
Yeah, but that's kind of what you want to do.
Yeah.
And your opponent either has to react to it or just say, hey, I'm just going to let you wail on me with your Z's range 1.
Yeah. I mean, with this kind of these lists, a couple Falcon lists, regardless of what you pair them with, they're pretty straightforward. You're just going to, you got the turrets. Yeah, if you have turrets and your opponent doesn't, then maybe you can try to arc dodge them or whatever. They're just like fly behind them or whatever, but when you both have turrets, for the most part, with the exception of the few Z's or whatever, it's going to be a slugfest no matter what, pretty much. Well, that hard turn, at least, instead of going straight, was probably a real good thing for him.
Yeah, and it's a good chance that that Han's not going to have a shot, or at least range 3.
Yeah, it also keeps him from being like range 1 of the whole firing squad there of Z's.
Yeah, and then the problem of getting blocked in the next round.
Yep. I'm going with the hard turn option instead of going right up behind the Z's. They probably have range 3, Falcon to Falcon from there.
Yeah.
I guess he's deciding if he wants to try to boost up through those obstacles, for future positioning or whatever, or if he wants to just evade or focus or whatever.
Of course, target lock's pretty useless with his build.
Right. Yeah, you got Han and Predator and everything. All right. Looks like you just went with the token there. So, yep, range 3. Falcon, hot action.
Yeah, and just checking for debris, that +1.
Yep.
It seems to happen a lot with these wider terrain.
Yeah, they have all these odd little bits and ends sticking out. They seem to catch a lot more of these long range shots, and there's extra green dice being thrown around the table for these things. And also, the propensity, like the people have to run through them without carrying as much, then that ship is, that lands on it or whatever is pretty much going to be shooting through it. All right. So looks like Hana has 2 hits there coming his way.
Yeah, it's 3.
Oh, it is 3. Yeah, you got the third one with Predator. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. 1 gets through past rolling an evade and having the evade token.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a bonus, with the recon specials, because you have, with January's, you got the 1 for defense,
Yeah.
the evade, and then you have that focus, because trying to hope to take one of these Z's out, maybe even this turn.
Right.
Of course, and both of his ships have the same pilot skill, so he's got a choice.
Yeah.
Do I want to
firing order?
Mangler cannon, getting that auto crit first?
Yeah, I guess in this case he was using Lebo first for some reason, but seems like often you're gonna use Chewie first so that the crit actually hits the hole or whatever.
It just depends on.
I mean, there's not that much.
What
hole
Chewie
on
was
Z.
actually gonna shoot at.
Yeah. You might want to wait and see how that went. Z doesn't have that much hole anyway, so. But if he's shooting at the Falcon later, he's going to want to be using Chewie first.
Yeah. Right now, there's no real point shooting at the Falcon because you can't. He's going to have C-3PO up, so he's going to absorb
Lebo
it
didn't
anyways.
have range on it, so
Yeah.
Chewie alone is going to do anything to it, really. Especially because, it was range 3 through rock and all that. All right, looks like I got a couple hits at the Z.
Yeah, and 2 evades.
Yeah.
That's the problem with not having gunner.
Yeah.
Even these relatively lower pilot, or
Yeah, just
agility
like
ships.
random Z95 or whatever.
And then
It's
now
like,
half your squad didn't deal damage, and
yeah.
he's gonna get shot back.
Yep, that's unfortunate. Well, 1 hit. I guess he made him at least spend the focus to evade out of it. And
Yeah.
that Z had to spend its token, so then it only had 1 hit, and he got to evade that. And yeah, it looks like 2 hits there, 1 damage gets through. And just 1 hit again.
Yeah, that's like the biggest problem. He keeps getting 1 hit, and then Chewie keeps getting 1
Chewie's
evade.
hot with that green die, my lord. He just he just threw that what was that, 3 in a row?
Mm-hmm. He's like, no thanks, no thanks, no thanks.
Yeah, one Z got 2 hits, so he got 1 damage through, but still not that much. All right, so now it looks like Han's got a pretty open path here, and Lebo can skirt around the edge.
Yeah, it's like all you have to do is make sure Lebo is not in your way.
And I guess Chewie could follow Lebo.
To a point, because
Yeah.
eventually he's gonna have to deal with that debris.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see where they go here. I could see the Z's doing like a large bank turn, kind of assuming that the other 2 ships are going to be going around the side of the board.
Yeah. Try to keep
Maybe-
him in arc still.
Yeah, maybe maybe that back Z does a hard turn around the debris.
Yeah, 2.
Yeah. But yeah, for some reason Chewie decides to cut in. It's good to get really messy.
Oh,
Okay, so they're going with those hard turns.
He does have anti-pursuit leader.
Yep.
Gotta get your
Yep.
value.
Yo, yeah. So, right in front of him there. So, yeah, if Chewie turns in, he is going to be all up in Z95 town.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of the danger. It's like if Chewie was even a little bit more towards the Z's, then the Z's couldn't have made that turn at all,
Yeah,
and they would have been anti-pursuit lasered.
right.
But since they weren't, like
Right.
perfect position for them.
Yeah, because they wouldn't really been able to change their facing 90 degrees or whatever. 'Cause
Yeah.
They don't. It's like they have a hard one. So
And then Han's got all kinds of room to maneuver.
yeah, Han's in great shape. All right, all going with the hard do.
Gotta keep that formation flying.
Yeah. Stay in formation, stay on target, I guess. It does help at least, being able to, again, choose the order that, Pete being able to choose the order, he has to move those 2 large ships in for when it does get messy. All right. So which one's going to go first and where are they going? Chewie.
He obviously knows where he's going.
Yeah.
He's gonna.
He's just turning into it, isn't he?
Yep.
All right. Yeah, so we have our TO Brad jumping in here for the first time to help kind of assist with some of these precision judgment calls or whatever.
He's also got unbelievably steady hands.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's like a surgeon in here.
Especially after 6 hours or something like that.
Yeah, I guess it might help a little bit if you haven't been playing, but still, that's still impressive. The guys running this event did a great job. Brad also ran the Stars LCG regional that was the week before this at the same store. So he did not play in the event. He was just the main TO.
But he does play though.
Yeah, we've seen him play a couple times. But yeah, he's from the area, the Tampa St. Pete area. Also, Ryan, another player from the Tampa group, was playing in the event, but was also acting as a backup TO. Mostly, he was just assisting with all the mountain of paperwork and stuff in between rounds.
There's also a chance that multiple people need a TO call at the same time. But
exactly.
That didn't really happen in the tournament.
Yeah. It was a pretty clean, simple tournament as far as that went.
It was pretty sizable, but...
Yeah, we had 58 players. They had pre-registered 64 and capped it at that. But you didn't really, when you have like 6 no-shows or whatever that did register, you don't really get replacements because people didn't want to, they've been hearing on all the posts on Facebook or whatever, oh, we're full up or we only got 1 spot or whatever, and they don't want to drive down there just on a chance. So, we had players from all over the state of Florida and a few from beyond. One of our top 8 players was from Maryland. We had 3 of the guys from just over the border in Georgia. I'm sure there was probably somebody from like Alabama or something. I just didn't catch it. But people from lots of local Tampa area. We came down from Jacksonville. You had the Palm Bay, like Dogs of War guys. They came over. The Orlando area, of course. So, but suspiciously underrepresented was Miami. I'm wondering if that was just like the group of 6 people or something, or something. Some carpool just fell apart.
Their one van broke down and they couldn't
make it. I'm not sure if that is the people that canceled, but it seems suspicious because there was definitely a few Miami players there last year. There were several. I mean, it was in Orlando or whatever last year. The X-Wing Regional, different a little bit, but still. We at the card game regional the week before this, there were a few Miami players that maybe don't really play X-Wing all that much. They play the card game, but one of them was talking about how they had like 20 or 30 regular players that like on any given weekly game night there would be 10 or 15 of them there, and they kind of rotated. That they had a pretty good scene going, so they were expecting some of them to be coming up.
Chewie just got zotted for 3.
Yeah, that's kind of the first palpable hit here.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Lebo hit the debris field. I didn't think it was a bad maneuver because he barely clipped it. And if it had been an asteroid, he probably
I don't think he's probably not on it. I mean, it's hard to say, but since they tend to be smaller.
Though I don't know if it was necessary. He probably could have just done a bank maneuver.
Right.
Because, again, he's got a mangler can. Who cares where he is? As long as he's getting a shot at all.
Yeah. I mean, at least you still shoot when you're on the debris, but, he lost the action and everything.
Yeah.
Lost the action and pretty much given up an extra green die to whatever he shoots because that corner's on it.
Well, you feel that action loss even worse when you have recon specialist?
Yeah.
It's like, I got all these combos, but they take 1 action.
Yeah. Yeah, it might have been worth just...
and you get a bad roll like that, and you only get 1 hit.
Doing that bank turn or whatever. Just taking a little bit of a wider angle. With the range of the mangler cannon, he could just be kind of circling around the edge of the debris and just blasting in.
Now, lucky that debris is going to provide him a little cover for at least that Z.
Yeah.
If not both the Zs, I guess.
Pretty much everything is going to that corner for Lebo as far as the line of fire. It's all going to and from that corner, I think.
Yeah, so at least he's got decent protection because only one of those Zs, I think, has the Falcon in his arc.
Yeah, Carlos is, obviously started in on Chewie, and he used Han this round, to continue that. But the way the Z's are, he almost has to go for Lebo.
I mean, there's no reason not to.
Yeah, I'm just saying, that one down there.
This is one of those things where if Chewie had C-3PO, Carlos might not have shot at him just because you don't want to guarantee damage. You don't want it to be, oh, my one hit did maybe 1 damage. And then
Han would maybe have to switch over and help on Lebo this turn, and then he's focusing on like a new target, spreading the damage out.
Yeah. And luckily, Lebo's running decent green dice right now.
Yeah. Yeah, you're rolling 3 per shot helps, but against Z's.
Yeah, even without the tokens.
Yeah.
It ends up doing no damage to him.
Yep. It's like the old TIE Fighter versus TIE Fighter battles back in the day. Yeah, sometimes you'd have whole rounds of not much happening because it was just 2 reds against 3 greens over and over.
So the unfortunate thing for Pete is he didn't do any damage with either of his shots. So.
Yeah. Yeah, this considering how up close and personal this got, this game could be a lot bloodier by this point. All things considered, you got a decent amount of damage on Chewie. He's taking like 5 damage, but there's been a lot of shots right on him.
Yeah, there's a lot of no damage turns.
That's still less than half his health, and then there's.
I do wonder if
a few shields off Han. Yeah.
If Chewie should have gone for range 1Z instead of trying to hit Han again.
Yeah.
It's hard because
it seems like he could have thrown 7 dice at one of those Z's this turn and just try to crush it.
But it's like, well, I need to kill Han. I need to get at least his shields down so that my Mangler cannon is it'd be more effective.
That's probably what he's trying to go for because crippling. It only takes 1 or 2 crippling crits on Han. And he starts getting in some serious trouble, and there's so many that can screw him. The pilot skill 0 one's pretty bad for him, especially since he has like an engine upgrade and wants to try to, I guess he can't really arc dodge anyway because, so it's maybe not that bad in this matchup.
It'd be hard to turn off just because Lebo is actually in a pretty good position to block him if he needs to try to turn off any kind of bad crits.
Yeah, but injured pilot would be really bad. Basically, injured pilot would just make Han's accuracy go to nothing.
Yeah.
No predator, no ability. But the -1 green die, the structural damage is arguably the worst because then that basically just turns off C-3PO too.
Yeah.
And then if you're spending your action to try to fix that, then you're not using the title. So all of a sudden it's like all your automatic evades are just gone with that crit.
There's also primary damage reduction. It's
there's
not,
a lot
not
of
as
bad ones.
it's not as crippling, but it's still
Yeah, then he's not doing that much.
I'm doing 4 damage at range 1 because this is probably turning into a range 1 battle real quick.
Yeah. All sorts of stuff. All right. Looks like that Z's okay. Yeah, jumping on the debris just to try to be in a good position to block Lebo to keep him on there.
Yeah, you gotta keep him honest. There's a good chance that Lebo foregoes a green, just does a hard turn to get out of there, and he would at least still have a shot.
Yeah. Yep. Man, there's a lot of traffic in there. I guess if Lebo does something like that so that he moves and is out of there,
then
Chewie could have moved second with like a 4 straight and cleared. But I don't know, he's doing Chewie first anyway, so maybe that's not what's happening.
Well, I mean, he knows whether Lebo's getting blocked or not.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I guess he was in a bank anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Again, Brad helping out. He probably had to do more work in this game than the rest of the day put together as far as actually, stepping to the table and doing maneuvers and stuff.
Well, I mean, it's a final table. You definitely want to play it right.
I'm just saying it was just so. It was such a pile up, round after round after round.
Yeah.
that
like every turn, he's like, we need
we need help. We need help.
We need at least 6 hands in here.
He was earning his keep. This is the one where we. It almost looks like, the video froze for a second. They just have such steady hands in there.
It's like Hana's had a chance to ram.
Yeah.
Let me in there, coach.
So, Lebo. What are we doing, Lebo? Are we doing that hard turn we're getting out? Probably not, because he already did Chewie.
Yeah, and you kind of know you already...
Yeah, it looks like he's banking also. So, he's going to move almost nowhere.
He'll get up to that front Z.
Yeah, he's going to hit that front Z. But
so
first, he'll move up slightly. And
first, we must check.
Yeah, he's still going to be on the cloud. Get back in there, Brad. And, he'll still be on the cloud. He'll be piling up. Now, I guess he did, that's a green, but the stress basically cancels out. Yeah, you just keep it. Okay, yeah, this is where it looks like the video froze. The video did not freeze here, we promise. Don't adjust your sets. They just have some steady hands.
Yeah. So you lie. This is definitely frozen.
Man.
This video keeps freezing, and there it is again.
Good Lord.
I know his head moved.
They need to do that scorpion shot or whatever. Where you have like the scorpion on the back of your hand.
Oh, yeah.
When you do the shot and then trap it under there. Yeah. It's in one of the Bond movies. Go look it up. It's a thing. But yeah. God.
Don't worry, I got 5 hands in there right now.
Yeah. This looks like a huddle before a game or something.
That's the other thing that always happens. Is like, all right,
everybody lean in. Okay, 1, 2, 3, Bearcats.
It's like all right, we got all the correct maneuvers.
Yeah.
But now all my dials are under my ships.
Right.
So now I got to tilt them all over. That's probably what those extra hands are in there for.
Oh yeah, all the templates and stuff. Yeah. Yeah, especially because you got that extra template in there to deal with the large ships. Yeah, the straight template going out the back.
Carlos
and Han's got to get in this too, huh? Why not?
Yeah. Carlos is like,
group hug.
I could probably get in that.
Let me jump in the pile. Oh, man.
And he's got a slightly better positioning because he's not going to end up landing on that rock.
Oh, he does actually clear that. Wow. I was about to say, it looked like he was going to hit his own Z. Man. Very nice.
He's like, no, he didn't hit it. He's only completely covering it on the camera.
Yeah. Yeah, this Z's blend in. Carlos was using the, just for the models or whatever, he was using the scum Z's because they look cooler or whatever. And
I guess they technically have a similar paint job to Han.
yeah, the white instead of the kind of the gray and blue, they blend in with these YTs a little more when they're all stuck under there. All right, so Han's flinging 4 dice to somebody because everybody's pretty much range 1 on everybody. Is that 4 hits? He used a focus and predator. Nice.
Yeah, he puts a laying in Chewie. He's got 4 health left at this point.
And see, this brings up something here with the whole Han predator reroll math. You know, there's some people that are always trying to figure out when to use what and all. So with a normal 3-die attack with them, it's a little easier to figure it out because essentially an average number of hits is 1.5. So let's say you don't have a focus or whatever because usually you're like boosting or evading or whatever. You're just relying on the rerolls and the gunner and stuff to give you your offense. So if you roll 1 hit on 3 dice, it's pretty easy to go, okay, I'll Han that. And if you get 2, then you go, okay, I'll predator it. And if you shoot at a 2 pilot skill ship, then you can predator when you have the 1 hit. But for the most part, that's just how it works. But at range 1, it gets a little messier because that 4 dice. So then you roll something like 2 hits, an eyeball, and a blank. That's like the most average 4-die roll in the world. And you're like, do you take that just 2 hits, or do you try to use Han if you feel lucky, you try to get an above average roll, but then you can roll 1 hit, and then you can predator 1, but it really, I feel like if you get range 1 with a Falcon that has all that, even Chewie with just the predator, without Han's ability, it helps a lot if you're in a position where you can focus for the range 1 shots like he did. It helps the math out a lot. Yeah, here we go again.
We're just checking for if he gets the Bree defense bonus, and you couldn't really see it with the Z's
under there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it helps that math out a lot. So you're able to basically do what he did there, and then he rerolls the blank with predator, and then he focuses, and he's got 4 hits. You obviously have to maybe be kind of ahead on the health and not evading for your life, but yeah, he is.
And this is a definite list for not Lone Wolf.
Yeah,
because you get into these scenarios where every one of your ships is right next to each other.
Are you talking about putting Lone Wolf on Han? Yeah.
Instead of Predator.
Yeah. It gives you the extra point. It potentially gives you a little more defense. There's some pros and cons to it, but I tried it out a little bit when Wave 5 first started, but especially with the Z's, Predator just seems to work better because there's several of them. But even if you always had it, it's kind of like what I was just saying with the way the math works out. It's annoying when you get these rolls you'll get a roll with Han with Lone Wolf, and there'll be 2 hits and an eyeball. and that on 3 dice, that's too good to haunt it.
Yeah.
And you can't reroll the eyeball with Predator. I mean, with Lone Wolf, but if you had Predator, you could, even if you're far enough away from your other guys. It just seemed like the way Predator kind of helps it synergizes with Han's ability, even though you can't do both of the same die. Just that it kind of covers you no matter what kind of roll you get. So
Han ended up taking 3 damage in this round.
Yeah.
And the Z's continue to do 0 damage on Lebo.
He still hasn't pushed through those shields, though, because that was the first damage Han actually took. Right? So, yeah, he's still got that 1 shield there. He really needs to get a nasty crit or 2 on him to flip this around. Or somehow, maybe have a couple turns where the Z's don't have shots, because they, those 2 Z's are going to K-turn here. That's pretty much a safe bet, I'd say.
The problem is that Chewie doesn't really have a good maneuver here.
Yeah, I mean, if Chewie does a 4 straight, if Chewie moves after Lebo and Lebo finally clears and gets out of the way, 4 straight will work, and it'll probably get him out of arc of the K-turn Z's, at least one of them, the front one, maybe both. So that would be all right. Now it's possible that 3rd Z leapfrogs Lebo with some maneuver and blocks that, and then the other ones have a shot.
3 bank.
But it's still probably his best option.
Because really, he's really feeling the no actions at this point. His rolls. Yeah. He's getting a lot of eyeballs, and he's not using that recon specialist.
Yeah, he's definitely losing that fight when Han's got C-3PO, Gunner, Predator, Han's ability. He's got all that stuff.
He's also getting actions. He's not ramming into anything.
Even if he was ramming in, he's got that advantage. And throwing in a focus or evade on top of that. Whereas over here, you have all this action economy with the recons, but none of it's doing anything.
Z ended up just
doing a 1 straight and
landed back on the rock.
Put.
Yeah, not taking any damage because
didn't take any damage. Green maneuver cancels out. Getting another stress basically. Yep. So I don't think that's going to clear it, and he's managed to get Lebo to just hit him again and stay put. Yeah, that corner's on him.
Just in. Yep.
So
back on the rock.
Basically shouldn't really move anywhere at all.
He might a little bit because
the angle gets weird.
Yeah. Ever
so slightly, but for the most part, he's not going anywhere. But just to make sure, let's get Brad back in here. And that hurts because now if Chewie is doing that, he's going to be blocked and sitting on the rock, on the cloud or whatever, range basically 1. Where the Z's vacated. Range 1, it's going to get ugly.
Probably getting a stress.
Oh, definitely.
Because he lands on the rock.
Yeah, he's going to be on it. Video's not frozen again. All right. Good Lord. It's like you need someone in the background just constantly moving their hand or something so you can tell.
Yeah, it's like, let me completely freeze my arm.
Good Lord.
Now that it's frozen in stone, I can look and see if the pips are in. All right, good.
Yeah. Brad must be some sort of craftsman or something. There's just no way. Or a sniper or something. All right. It's the opposite of the stream of one of the other regionals. They had the TO come in. It was a top 4 game or something. They called him in, and he was putting out the laser sight. He was trying to check if this ship had this other ship in arc, and he was putting out the laser sight, and he bumped one of them. Turned the base wherever, so it basically kind of threw it all off. You're like, oh, well, who knows now? Yeah, and then they tried to fix it. They got about where they thought it was. They bumped the other one. So it's there's get him out of here. Pretty much the opposite of that.
And Chewie's going to try his 4 straight, which not going to quite clear.
Yeah, it was pretty close, but he just needed to avoid getting Lebo bumped. So that Z being tricky and just deciding to stay where it was has caused all sorts of problems this turn.
Now the question is he hit Lebo before he hits a Z? but it looks like it's pretty much perfectly on that corner of Lebo.
Yeah, he's going to be hitting Lebo, and he's going to be on the quad. Yeah, one of these things has got to come off the base by this point. My God. All these fat ships on top of each other. Now, I feel like Han might be looking to do like a one bank to the right and just be right behind Chewie, and he can basically just focus, roll 4 dice, and
probably still be in range. Yeah.
Like, yeah, because it's like I was saying a second ago, like he's got that advantage with the health. You know, he's got that much more than Chewie, and he's got the range ones from the Z and stuff. You can be a little more aggressive like that and kind of go just step on the throat. Kind of, well, I guess that's not what he decided to do. He's going left, so now it's going to be range shoe anyway. You could just, and he's still focusing. He's still being aggressive with it. He's maybe wishing that he, went with the range one. But we'll see. But, I mean, it's really close. But I think it's going to be barely 2.
And because of all of the attachments on Han, he's basically just hoping to just only let 1 damage through.
Yeah, with the gunner, you're basically,
especially when you're
kind of best case scenario.
Your opponent rolls terrible the first one. He's like, I'm just gonna Han this whole thing.
Yeah, it was that 2 blanks and an eyeball, and he's like thinking about doing it.
No.
Or no, it was a 1 hit, I think. So now he's got 2 hits total. Okay.
So he ends up only taking 1 like he wants. So he's still got 3 health left, but those Z's are staring him down.
There aren't any crits coming at him though, so he's not been able to try to use determination to maybe stop a damage or 2.
Yeah.
All right.
Shooting at Han still.
Yep.
Trying to get those last shields off. Ends up doing 1.
Still has a shield on there. My God.
Yeah.
Yeah. He can't get those rolls he needs, I guess. Are we checking this?
For the
cloud again.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because Lebo's shooting at him.
Yep. Brad, I'm sure, is nearby again. Yeah, that's really close. I think it's on it. But we'll find out in a minute, I'm sure. All right. Yep. that is the direction the Mangler is going in.
Finger point.
See
another.
Just that 1 crit. That's it.
Yep. It's another roll that you probably don't want, but even with the extra die.
And I'd say he's feeling the lack of actions, but a lot of the rolls he's getting, he's getting a lot of blanks. And just you can tell just from the loadout he has, if he had actions, he'd be focusing. He wouldn't be target logging.
Yeah, that's true.
So, but yeah, still.
He ends up doing 1 to Han to finally get that last shield off.
Yeah.
And Chewie avoids that first Z.
Yeah, the first range one didn't do anything really.
But unfortunately, this one gets him for 2. But
nice.
Hey, still 1 health left.
Yeah, the one touching Lebo, I don't think has arc on Chewie.
No,
definitely doesn't have a shot. Yeah. Chewie's hanging in there. He's on his last leg.
Well, it's good for Chewie because Han not going to really have a shot on him.
Yeah, so Chewie can go pretty quick here. Probably be out of range of Han. Probably can avoid the 2 K-turn Zs. Definitely the front one. Unless, I mean, I guess they could. No, you can't even really do like a 2 hard and keep the stress with that one.
No.
Because he'll hit Lebo.
But now
it won't really get the arc
the one
right.
in the back suddenly is going to be in good position if he goes like 4 straight.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, 1 or 2 Zs might be able to get him an arc, but he'll be out of Han. That might be manageable.
It's too dangerous for Chewie at this point to try to get rid of the stress.
Yeah, he can't. He basically just can't be in range of Han. It's too easy for him to just drop dead. He needs to. What Pete probably has to try to do here to get back in this game, even though it kind of sucks for him because he's gone all in on trying to burst down Han. That was probably the right thing to do to try to get that Mangler really debilitating Han.
I mean, Lebo
just didn't work out.
Still at full.
Yeah.
I mean, he's lost 1, so.
Yeah, it's going to be rough for Lebo by himself to do it, but it feels like all Chewie can do is run away from Han for a couple of turns here and put some damage into some Zs.
Yeah.
But, what does that really do for you unless you start, shooting at the Z's with Lebo also to try to actually kill them.
That was the problem of not shooting the Z's earlier, because now you can't kill them before they.
But then if you do that,
you
you finally put all this effort in getting the shields down on Han. You're not reaping the benefits of that, and if Chewie dies, killing all the Z's isn't going to be enough anyway. You got to kill Han. So he's just between a rock and a hard place, basically.
Yeah, that's kind of the problem for the double big ship build.
Maybe a cloud and a hard place.
Against this squad, you have to kill Han. Yeah. You either never lose anybody or you have to kill Han.
Right.
There's
yeah, and I mean, so I guess he, was probably thinking that going in, and he had the right approach by focusing him, because again, it would only have taken a couple more hits to have some dirty crits on there.
Yeah.
And but he just didn't get the rolls. So Chewie is heading down that way. Yeah, I thought it was strange. Like, they're putting the 4 down by the other one. I'm like, where is Han going? I guess wrong YT. It's supposed to be this one. Like, we don't need your help moving that one. That one's there by himself. That'd be easy.
Yeah, so you guys can handle that?
Yeah. Hey. Sorry, I'm just used to doing all the maneuvers at this point. My bad. Okay, so Chewie does the 4, keeps his stress.
Yeah, luckily he doesn't fly over the rock again.
Right, yeah, it did go by it. Yeah, so those Z's actually just wanted to dump their stress, and they just went straight into them. So, he was able to avoid both of them instead of, like I said, if that back K-turned one could have maybe kept the stress and done it too hard and been range 1 right behind Chewie.
We also got hit by the anti-pursuit lasers.
Oh, yeah, the front one did. And it actually took a damage?
Oh, yeah.
That's something. Chewie could maybe blast it dead, potentially.
That's very, without any tokens, that's very unlikely.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, it's doable, but not likely.
It's probably not his target anyways. He's probably going to go for that Z that has him and Hark.
Yeah. He's not going to be able to kill it before it shoots him, but yeah, he might be able to, unless he, shoots with both of them, which I guess he could do. So that might be an option.
I guess Carlos didn't want the range 1 by boosting.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't have shields at this point, so he's probably expecting a Lebo shot at him.
Yeah, I mean, he would have gained a range 1 without, Lebo doesn't really gain any attack from range 1.
You just don't have the
But
targets. He
wants that evade to try to block out as many crits as possible or whatever, I guess, just to stay alive. So it's understandable. He had to choose how aggressive he wanted to be, essentially. All right, I guess
Predator.
I guess he did have range 1 anyway. Never mind.
No.
The corner to corner is just there, so he had the best of both worlds. Yeah. So that is
No damage.
Yeah, no damage.
Or I'm sorry, it's 2 damage.
Or 2. Okay, I was about to say I thought he had some hits in there. And
this is Lebo didn't roll any evades.
Yeah, I gotcha. All right.
Shooting back, boss.
Yep. So
1 crit.
We got just 1 crit.
Yeah.
Now that he had 2 eyeballs. That's where the stress hurt him. If he had a recon on that turn, that's a hit and a crit going on Han. But yeah, I guess he's trying to figure out, okay, which Z has, this health or whatever. Who do I want to shoot with Chewie?
Yeah. The problem is most of them have...
It's like that one might be range 1, but it's not shooting you and it's full. Then that second one is the one that took a damage, but okay. I guess they're all range 2 anyway.
Yeah, but you continue to only get 1 hit.
Yeah.
Which gets evaded, so...
Or no, he took off some shields.
One shield. You only got 1 hit.
Yeah, that looks... Oh, that's the same one, I guess, that took the cloud? Okay.
Yeah, the rocket.
Yeah. So as I say, there's no shields left. Pot shot with the last Z. Doesn't look like he did anything.
No.
Well, Chewie may be safe for another round.
He's got a Lando pop... Lebo pop shot.
There's at least one of those. So, I think what he could do here, he could potentially, go into maneuvers on the next round.
Mm-hmm.
I think he could try to use Lebo to block on. Maybe do a 1 bank towards Carlos.
Yeah, to the right.
And then you can probably see exactly where that puts you. You might have to do a barrel roll, but maybe you just stay there. Something around that ballpark, though, to block on. And then Chewie kind of hangs out in that corner for another turn, basically by Lebo blocking Han instead of Han clearing with like a 3 bank and then a boost or whatever, like he'll keep him away from Han he'll keep Han from Chewie. Yeah, too many YTs. But yeah, if he's able to clear that maneuver, like even the 3 bank might get him in range, but then he certainly will with a boost. And it's like he could do that, and then that's at least one round where Han wouldn't have a shot at all. And if he could manage to do that for like a couple of rounds somehow, just kind of like how the Z kept blocking Lebo. If he can, Lebo can just stay in front of Han with tricksy with like barrel roll and everything. That could turn the game. If Han doesn't do anything for a couple turns, and he's able to focus all 6 of his dice or whatever into a couple of these Z's. He could get back into it.
It is difficult though, just because he's going to be trying to kind of move northwards.
Yeah.
So being able to constantly barrel roll backwards and still block him, it would be difficult for Lebo in this point.
Yeah, I mean it's doable. You can
certainly do it for at least one round.
Yeah, I mean on this round you can do a green and do it, and then maybe on the next round you can do like depending on exactly where everything is, you can do maybe like a 1 hard, and then do it because you won't be stressed, so that would work. But I guess we'll just have to see how it all unfolds. But yeah, if Han gets by Lebo, Chewie's going to be in bad shape. Okay, so this Z is finally saying goodbye to debris nonsense.
His old home.
Yeah. I think. Yeah.
He finally did it.
Yep. Chasing down Chewie.
And now all the Z's.
But these Z's, yeah, they got to watch out for them still. So they
especially the one that's been getting pinged on.
Yeah. So that one is just going straight to, he doesn't want to take the chance of going over. He probably feels like he's going to roll a direct hit if he goes over the thing.
Yeah, and he did take some damage from the anti-pursuit lasers.
Yeah, and he, I guess he figures Lebo's probably not going to shoot at the Z. If he does, like, you're almost baiting him. It's like, I just target locked and he's got 2 health. It's like, if Lebo shoots at the Z, it's almost a good thing for you that he's not putting the crown on Han. But by the same token, if he actually blocks Han, that's his shot anyway. Yeah. So it's like, but if, I guess he's banking on Han not getting blocked. And, and if Han doesn't get blocked, Chewie's probably hosed because he'll be shooting him, and then he's got, he's actually got a couple focus tokens, a couple of Z's right on him.
He does finally get his his double tokens.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, so he went straight. Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that just, I mean, I gotta figure Han's doing like a big bank turn maneuver. Yeah. So I think even if you barrel rolled back there, you might be able to block it.
I didn't really like the focus.
Yeah.
The focus, because, I mean, your plan is to have him block, is for him to ram into you, so you're not going to shoot at him. Are you really that scared of one Z95 pot shot?
Yeah, I think if he had barreled back, he might have barely clipped him.
Yeah, it's possible.
That back corner.
Yeah, because of the corner front to him.
If he had done a 1 bank towards Carlos's side there, and then barrel rolled, he certainly would have blocked him. With the straight, it was a little tougher, but yeah. The other thing is, like, if he had done the 1 bank and then barreled back to block on, not only would that have worked, but Lebo wouldn't actually be in arc of that Z.
Mm-hmm. And even if he was,
Lebo would be more or less where Han is right now.
You'd be behind.
And Han would just be touching him on this side of that. Yeah. But so now he's got range on Chewie. Yeah. That hurts.
But Chewie does have decent tokens.
Yeah, and it's range 3. And
we're haunted.
And from that corner to that corner, apparently is barely clipping
and now we're gunner
one of these awkward tokens. Okay, well, he got 2 hits ultimately after all that shenanigans.
3 rerolls.
Yeah, it looks like none of that's really going to get through.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, but yet they stripped both tokens though.
Yeah, only one because he actually got. But the problem is he's at 1 health, so anything gets through, he's gone.
Yeah, so the Z's have a chance.
But
at least Chewie gets 1 more shot.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say, because now he at least does some parting blows.
Yeah. He can maybe land a hit on. Doesn't seem like it does him any good to really go for those Z's at full health.
See, there's that double blank
Yeah,
with Lebo.
When he actually has eyeball or focus organs, wherever, and then he gets that crit in there, or no,
not even.
C3PO, right? Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. You should target lock.
Yeah.
I know it's hindsight 2020, but
Yeah.
it's one of those things where you, especially with the non-automatic reroll build, you have to pick your spots for when you target lock. You can't just only focus.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure you really could have, though, because I'm not sure you could have blocked on if you didn't do the barrel roll,
Well, he obviously wasn't. If he wasn't going to go with the barrel roll,
then, still might have gone with it. Because, still would have been worth it, I guess, because if you figure Han's not going to shoot you anyway.
Yeah, he's going to be going for Chewie.
You got that 1Z pot shot, but you're rolling. It's 2 reds on 3 greens anyway. Lebo's still got decent health. It's whatever.
Chewie gets 2 on that Z, and the Z evades both of them, but then he does it right back.
Nice. So we're down to 1 more Z here, trying to finally kill Chewie.
But no tokens on Chewie.
And did he get 2 hits there?
He got 2 hits, so he's dead. But he did roll an evade, so that's something. But
so he never got any crits on there to use determination. Like, I don't think you know what I mean. It wasn't even like he got. Forget about actually getting pilot crits. I don't think there were any crits at all.
No.
Yeah, so nothing really happening there.
Yeah, unsurprisingly, nothing on Lebo.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he had to actually use a focus, so he would have taken a damage had he target locked on, but it might have been worth it.
Yeah, anything on at this point.
Yeah, Han needs to pretty much be dead or close to dead right now. That's obviously how he gets ahead. And he needs to be able to be ahead by killing Han and have Lebo in decent enough shape that he could survive a couple more turns of, dancing around the Z's or whatever.
It's certainly not impossible.
Yeah.
I mean,
but
he's got to weather the storm.
Yeah, these dice have to turn in a hurry here. But yeah, now it's like when you at least had Chewie on the board still, that shot could kind of soak up some of the
shenanigans.
Yeah. It was extra damage getting through.
Yeah, now Falcon's going to be evading every action, most likely.
Yeah. That's another thing about the crit. It's like, let's say you shoot with Chewie first. He almost has to, not use C-3PO and the evade and stuff like that on that attack. Yeah. He almost wants to save it all so he can try to evade everything coming. Because if you have to evade everything Lebo throws at you to stop the crit. But then if you save both of those and Lebo rolls 1 crit, then you basically wasted either C-3PO or the token. You didn't need them both or whatever.
Yeah.
So, he might have still been stopping some vicious crits unless Lebo starts rolling well. But you might have still been pushing through an extra damage or 2. Or if you got good rolls with both of them, But it's just going to be so hard now with just by himself because of C-3PO and the evade.
Yeah, the Z's are loading up the target locks.
Yeah. Yep. They can basically be assured that Lebo's not going to be shooting at them because there's not that much time left in the game here. He's got to kill Han,
Yeah, and that's...
So the Z's can pretty much just be as aggressive as they want. They just have straight impunity here. Yeah.
Luckily, Lebo, weathers it a lot better than Chewie could.
Yeah. Focus up. Now, Han... Well, I guess he can't go that fast. He's kind of blocked himself off.
Yeah. Because he could have just ran away.
Yeah. Han could potentially go for just running away here.
He still gets the...
He can still basically
debris,
run away next turn.
The debris, extra die.
Yeah, I can kind of see how this exchange goes. And if the dice go really in his favor, he could maybe hang around and try to just use all 4 ships to kill Lebo. If it goes really against him, he could be like, all right, screw that. Han's, too hard next turn plus boost, just bugging out. Yeah,
4 of 8 dice, done not no damage. Gunner.
Jeez. Yeah, well, Han 3 blanks.
Yeah, keep haunting.
Finally got some hits there.
Yeah, but after the token, not enough.
Yeah.
That's the thing with
at least that's something,
once you rolled that that 3rd or 4th triple blank in a round, you're like, how could I ever play any other ship?
Yeah, right. Yeah, it sucks when you get back-to-back bad rolls on the first attack, so then they don't have to burn a token or anything, and you just gunner, and then
you got hope.
Yeah, they know they can cancel all the damage on that second one without being in trouble. I guess he was having to decide a little bit of whether he should stay on Han or the Z's, but like I said, he has to kill Han. That's his only chance.
And he got 2 damage and Han ram, so
Yeah. Yeah, and he's rolling
extra green die for no reason.
Extra dice and stuff, so he's having to.
People do that.
Oh yeah, he wasn't the range thing with the secondary, so they're trying to sort that out. Makes it even weirder when you have to guess with 3PO.
Oh yeah.
Well, that crit's getting through.
Yep. It's a damaged cockpit.
Okay, pilot skill 0. It's not too bad. It might actually stop Han from being because I was talking about him doing like a 2 bank and then boosting it, or too hard and boosting
after the Z's got out of it, but not so much.
You can still do a 3 bank, kind of still gets him out of dodge a bit, but
one hit with Z. Target lock.
If it comes down to the very end where, with Lebo and Han both being low, that could make the difference on who shot first.
And as usual, when a Z shoots at you, you take damage.
Yep, flinking a shield off.
Even with the focus.
So Han's got 7 health left. Lebo's got 6. But there's all these little Z's flying around just to muck things up. They're just going to be blocking and pot shotting.
Going for range 1s.
Yeah, they're just going to be annoying.
And again, the time's running down, so
yeah.
Even if they're just blocking, stopping tokens, they're doing their job.
Exactly. They can just keep him from being able to chase after Han by blocking him, So Han is doing the bank. Trying to use his fighter screen. Looks like that's gonna clear.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. Since he had to move first now, that was pretty much his only option to go that way and clear. The problem is he can't boost though, I don't think, because be
kind of close to the edge.
Well, he probably could have. Since
I don't know if he wants to limit his maneuvers next round though.
Yeah, he would have had to do a boost to the left, and then on the next round do a hard turn, and then that still would be pretty good though, because he could hard turn down towards that far corner of the board and boost down there. He's gonna be just way the heck away from Lebo. But I guess he figures he's not that close to dead. He can stay there, evade, and if it's range 3, then whatever. But he's still got C-3PO and evade.
Yeah, I mean Lebo basically has to roll 3 hits to even threaten.
Right.
Meanwhile, all the Z's are getting into.
And Han, might strip a token or do some damage or something by staying there.
Yeah. And the Z takes a little visit to the cloud.
That's what they do. At least that's not the same one that was hitting it earlier. That would be the one that's right behind Lebo.
Yeah, splitting up.
All right, so he doesn't take a damage, but he does get that stress.
But still has target lock.
They have some they all have target locks on them. This could get ugly for Lebo down here.
Especially since only one of them is close to dead.
Right.
So you can't even just pick one off if he can't reach Han.
But again, even if you're doing that at this point, there's such a finite number of rounds to try to kill Han. Spending any time at all of killing it, they're shooting at Z, just might be going to lose you in the match anyway. I'm not sure they're even in range.
Doesn't look like it.
Yeah, I mean, he could barrel roll to get there, which, that's what he's going to do. Gotta do it.
Yeah, puts that 1Z at range 1.
Yeah, you don't have a choice. It's kill Han or lose.
Yep.
So everything else, you just have to hope and pray.
The problem is, at this point, on this round at least, I probably wouldn't even shoot it on. Because without tokens, you're almost guaranteed to not deal damage.
But again, it's like I said, you just have almost no time. It's just like, yeah, I mean, it's horrible odds, don't get me wrong, but sometimes you just got to throw a Hail Mary and hope for the best.
Sometimes you got to yell at somebody and tell them not to tell you the odds.
Yeah, exactly.
But,
yep.
One hit. So,
yeah, nothing. But yeah, I mean, there's probably only a couple rounds left at this point, and he still had 7 health, so he just pretty much had to hope and pray that he dropped 3 hits natural. He's due for a roll like that. I guess he's just even more due now because it still ain't happening, but he's due for a roll like that.
And at that point, he'd be looking for like structural damage or something.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, yeah, you get a good roll like that, and he gets a structural damage, something like that. It's long odds, but if that happens, this thing changes in a hurry. All of a sudden, 2 more rounds or whatever is left is plenty of time to deal with them.
Luckily, he got out of the arcs of 2 of the Z95s.
Yeah, that too. So one's blast him at range 1,
and then Han shoots.
Well,
him.
this is Han's shooting last now, right?
Yep, Han shoots last.
Mm-hmm. That's how I remember it. Okay, so there's a crit in there, yeah. So he's getting to look at 2 to try to find a pilot one.
Yeah, first time this game.
And then determination it, but I think he gets 2 ship crits, so he just has to pick whichever one he likes best.
Yeah, he ends up getting structural damage.
Oh, nice.
The irony.
Yeah. Yep. This game has a 6th sense of humor sometimes. Yeah, so he's got 2 damage on there, so that means he actually has 4 health left because he has that extra hull upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
Han is just hard turning down the side of the board there.
Probably just going to take an evade.
Yep. Yeah, I don't think a boost is going to reliably get him out of range.
And there's that risk that if you boost and he's still in range, then you just gave him...
Yep. Yeah,
you could give him the possibility of winning the game.
Definitely needs to just evade. K turning around. Yeah, this guy, unfortunately, can't quite clear with the K turn, I don't think. Oh, no, right, he already had the stress. That's the problem, because... Yeah, actually, he would have cleared with the K turn.
Landing on the rock.
It was the stress that was the problem. Yep. Like, there's no good options for that guy. You didn't want to get bumped back onto the rock either, so... Alright. Well, one thing here for Lebo is he has more or less cleared with that barrel and everything, kind of the screen of Z's. Like, they're no longer a factor on just getting in the way and being extra obstacles to block him from running down Han.
Yeah, that was a good spot.
Yeah, so, like, you can see here, however many turns are left in this game, for pretty much the rest of this game, Lebo's just going to be able to run right back up to Han before the Z's are relevant again. So, he's got a chance. He just has to finally get some dice to go his way. There we go. Now we're talking.
3 hits.
Now it's getting a little closer. Yeah, you get that hit crit. Yeah, he's going to block a couple, I guess, but that crit gets through.
Yeah, it's console fire.
Yeah, it doesn't help him too much. Well, yeah. So that's the one where you can spin your action to automatically turn it off, no roll necessary.
But then
if you don't, you just roll at the start of every combat to see if you take a damage. But
yeah, I did that to somebody earlier that tournament.
It's only like
it was on for like 4 turns and dealt no damage.
Yeah, it's only a 3 and 8, and
it's
like
not crits.
So that's the thing. It's like with that much health left, yeah, he probably just ignores it because if you spend your action on it, you're turning off something that has a 3 and 8 chance to hurt you. But if you spend your action on invade, that's 100% or whatever extra health or whatever essentially.
Yeah.
So, yep. Lebo he took a couple more damage. I mean, Lebo is more actually likely to die at this point than Han.
He took 2 from the Z, and then Han ends up taking 1 from him. But unfortunately, that's the end.
That's the end of time anyway. Yeah. He was just running out. Like you said, you could feel that, 6th sense, even if we could see that everybody in the whole game could see the clock anyway here, but he just needed to get a few more of those red dice on at the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
And get some dirty crits on there early. But so that's going to wrap up our coverage of this game. We'll be back with an episode for the final match from this tournament shortly. So if you liked it, give us a thumbs up and subscribe, and we'll see you later.